Welcome once again to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest motoring news and reviews. This week, BMW slaps its most extreme and sporty badge to the boot of an estate car. How fun!
We've also got a thrilling all-electric concept from Genesis, destined for Alpine slopes, or an action movie.
Plus, how does over 15 tonnes of towing capacity sound?
That's all coming up. First though, the news.
Since 2015, Toyota has marketed the Mirai as one of the sole hydrogen fuel cell models on sale. And despite only shipping 28,000 examples worldwide in the past decade, it's seemingly not backing down, providing a rolling development program for the brand. In fact, Toyota has just announced the development of a third generation of fuel cell system integrated learnings from the past 10 years, as well as feedback from Mirai customers. Working towards the goal of implementing this new system into a wider variety of vehicle types, from the current passenger car to larger commercial vehicles, a main focus for this third generation has been durability. Reportedly, the new version is now up to twice as robust as previous systems, and all that while boosting efficiency and range by 20%. Finally, aiming to reduce costs from the Mirai's current £65,000 starting price, the new system has been designed with production costs in mind, with the Japanese automaker innovating the manufacturing process while retaining a focus on the system's maintenance-free philosophy. While hydrogen fuel cell technology is still very much in its infancy, with few models available on the market and even fewer filling stations set up here in the UK, Toyota's past perseverance has proved to be worthwhile. Among the first pioneers of hybrid drivetrains in the late 1990s with its Prius, the Japanese manufacturer's current obsession may well be a sign of future uptake.
Comfortable cabin up front, wide open bed in the back. The pickup is not just a sensible and practical workhorse, it's also the most popular body style of vehicle in the United States of America. This Ford F-150 is consistently the best-selling vehicle every year, whilst its closest rival, the Chevrolet Silverado, is never far behind. What if you fancy something a little chunkier with, let's say, a far greater load capacity and, maybe 4 rear wheels? Well, there really is something for everyone. What you're looking at here is Ram's lineup of heavy-duty trucks. Sure, they might have an air of 1500, the manufacturer's regular half-tonner, but these are far larger models ranging from the modestly sized 2500 all the way up to the behemoth that is the 5500. But despite offering a ladder of different versions, each model is available with the same diesel-burning 6.7-litre turbocharged straight-six, good for 360 brake horsepower and much torque, 800 foot-pounds in fact. The lower echelon 2500 and 3500 are also available with a petrol V8 in 6.4-litre form, though for a tough towing tractor the former will be your workhorse. In fact, the diesel model also comes with power takeoff for operating machinery using the engine's torque and a remote throttle for ease of use. Differentiating the different models from 2500 to 5500 through 35 and 4500 are the truck's towing and payload capacities based on their chassis structure. But in its most potent 5500 form, this pedestrian pickup will tow upwards of 15.5 tonnes. This particular model comes as standard as a chassis cab, meaning it does not get a traditional pickup truck bed, allowing businesses to cater its design to their needs, like this sturdier flatbed model. Heavy-duty Ram models are available from $47,500, whilst for serious players, the top-of-the-line 5500 chassis cab hits the market from just under $57,000.
Traditionally thought of as expensive products only available to a select few, the advent of all-electric city cars and BEVs' ongoing development has led to prices shooting closer towards affordability. And in 2025, the sub £25,000 EV segment is a competitive space with a number of entrants. Among the oldest approachable electric vehicles is the Fiat 500e, a new age overhaul of what was already a modernised classic. Retaining the original Cinquecento's shape, yet ballooned to 21st century proportions, there is still a noticeable amount of charm to the little Italian econobox and recognisable details. Inside, the model's electric variant is very similar to its combusting counterpart, with a pleasant yet simplistic design. Chunky design pieces and a colourful dashboard ensure the 500 remains a stylish car, whilst the compact shape does mean sitting in the back will be a squash and a squeeze. But it isn't just the cabin that's small with the Fiat 500, as with the choice of either 23.8 or 42 kilowatt-hour batteries, it certainly isn't winning any endurance races. That equates to a range of 203 miles at most. It seems consumers have picked up on its shortcomings, as towards the end of last year Fiat put the electric 500's production on pause, instead focusing on hybrid models in response to demand. Although it has since returned to the production line, getting your hands on a 500e may well prove difficult for the next few months. So if you want a small electric city car now and fancy yourself a bit more independence from the national grid, perhaps this is for you.
The Hyundai INSTER is the latest all-electric model from the South Korean brand, known for its line of Ioniq EVs. However, with this, you needn't fork out premium money, as matching the Fiat's £23,500 price tag, it too is a relatively cheap entry point to electric car ownership. Like the Fiat, it doesn't boast fancy throwback penmanship or cutesy looks, instead adopting a very blocky and almost unstable stance with its narrow footprint and tall roof. In fact, it's less than 4 metres long and just over 1.5 metres wide. Cutting a smaller hole in the air, it extends range towards the 230-mile mark, thanks to the larger of two battery offerings with either a 39 or 46 kilowatt-hour unit available. Decorating the INSTER's quirky dimensions are a set of futuristic LED displays, similar to designs you'd find on higher echelon Hyundai EVs, as well as a rugged overall look thanks to bolstered bumpers. Inside, the oddly named Hyundai makes the most of its elevated roof, providing plenty of headspace for all passengers. Legroom is also far more plentiful than the segment's pioneer, although with its rear seats pushed all the way back, the boot does feel like a bit of an afterthought. In true econobox style, a pair of small screens provide the driver with all the information they need. But unlike other cheap and cheerful cabins, this one actually gets buttons for your most used functionalities, alongside the now typical charging points, enabling modern phone attachments. But that is not all, as despite its affordable nature, the INSTER is available with niceties like heated seats and a reversing camera. Though the former does require opting for this higher specification O2 trim level, with its nicer materials available from just over £26,500. Certainly a fantastic option in the circa £25,000 compact electric car market, rivals to the INSTER are coming thick and fast, and we'll have more on those later in the year.
After the break, never fear, Genesis Mountain Rescue is here.
Welcome back. Coming up, if the BMW M3 Touring is too tame for you, how about this?
Last week, Audi showcased its Q6 e-tron electric SUV with an ice-cool twist, sporting greater ride height and suspension travel, as well as massive 33-inch tyres in what the Four Rings called the off-road concept. Well, not to be outdone on frozen lakes and Alpine slopes, Genesis has also put one of its many electric crossovers on an intense workout. And yes, we also think the GV60 mountain intervention vehicle is a little more hardcore than its German peer. As its name suggests, this extreme off-roader is all about tackling the slopes and reaching the most elevated of locations in your local mountain chain. Gone are the wheels, and in their stead are a set of snow tracks for improved traction on slippery, snowy surfaces and up steep slopes. Visually, the MIV, as Genesis nicknames it, gets carbon fibre wheel arch extensions, plenty of fancy decals and a sturdy roof rack. Inside, the GV60 eludes a shred of its usual comfort and opulence, instead getting sport seats and a whole host of medical supplies. In fact, if you hadn't guessed it yet, this one-off concept car is all about rescuing stranded skiers from the elements. Though being an electric crossover, Genesis boasts its model's silence versus other mountain rescue vehicles, eliminating noise pollution. Though if you were stuck on the side of a freezing mountain, perhaps noise wouldn't be your first concern. Regardless, vehicle-to-load system is another benefit of electric powertrains, allowing the GV60 to power medical equipment before getting to a centre. Now that is all well and good, but as a unique conceptual creation, the MIV will never really power up a cliff in aid of winter sports people. Instead, what it's really all about is this. Up to 483 all-wheel drive brake horsepower in boost mode and almost 250 miles on a charge, the GV60 is certainly an impressive model in its own right. But sadly, for its £54,000 starting price, you won't quite get your hands on those Alpine accessories.
Last year's Paris Motor Show was a hotbed for new French car unveilings, from the Renault 5 to Alpine's A110R Ultime Swansong. But on a more pedestrian and no doubt better selling note, CITROEN launched its facelifted C4 in both standard and rugged X guise. Now, some 4 months post-launch, deliveries for the high-riding saloon are commencing here in the UK, so is it worth your time? Visually over its predecessor, there is little change for the facelifted car, bar a few jazzed-up fascia details. Falling in line with other new models sporting the twin chevron logo, it gets sharp front headlights and more knobbly rear end. In electric form, the EC4 gets either 136 brake horsepower with a 50 kWh battery or 156 with a 54 kWh unit. Good for around 230 and 265 miles respectively on a charge on average. Differentiating the standard C4 from its X variant is its more practical hatchback rear end and lower entry point thanks to a pair of cheaper powertrains. Both the pure petrol PureTech and lower powered mild hybrid model are reserved for the base car, whilst it shares its 136 brake horsepower hybrid with the X. Statistically unreliable, we would advise steering clear of the 130 brake horsepower 1.2 litre PureTech engine, instead opting for the more powerful hybrid in mid-range specification for added interior gubbins. Speaking of the interior, both rows of seats get a good amount of room for a family of 4. In true CITROEN tradition, comfort appears to be a priority, with these so-called advanced comfort seats that hug you nicely and offer a very pleasing driving position. When we got behind the wheel at last year's Paris Motor Show launch, we were impressed by how robust everything felt, perfect for a younger family. All the creature comforts you would expect for a modern motor, including a 10-inch central infotainment touchscreen, heads-up display and climate control, are all available with the C4. But if you do want such niceties, you will have to aim higher than the cheapy U trim level, starting out from just over £22,000.
But with its lower slung body style, you do not get the same high driving position of other crossovers. If you do prefer to observe the roads from above, however, Renault has you covered with this, the Arcana. Most recently updated in 2023 with hybridization in mind, it gets far less choice when it comes to powertrains, with just a single 145 brake horsepower hybrid E-Tech model combining a 1.6-litre 4-pot with a pair of electric motors for over 60 mpg. Inside, the Arcana gets a far sportier persona over its fellow French rival, with a smaller steering wheel, more focused instrument cluster and sharper edges. And if you select a top Spirit Alpine trim level, you even get carbon fibre inserts and cool coloured stitching should you so wish, in your high-riding family car lacking sporty credentials. Much like the Citroen, rear passenger space is aplenty, with the Arcana designed for greater legroom over other vehicles built upon the CMF-B platform. Despite its accommodating cabin, a rear overhang extension under the hatchback makes for a spacious 480-litre boot, 100 more than the C4. More powerful and offering slightly more space inside, the Renault Arcana comes out £5,000 more expensive than the Citroen, hitting the market from £27,000.
For that price, the C4 offers a significantly higher specification model with all the fancy options you could dream of. And in the real world, you will rarely use the Arcana's additional boot space and power. So why don't you save yourself a few pennies and go for the cheaper, more characterful Citroen?
Fast, fun and family-friendly, the BMW M3 has long been a favourite for folks looking to blend practicality with performance and a shred of persona. On the one hand, this is a 530 brake horsepower, fire-breathing sports car pushed down the road by a turbocharged 3-litre straight-six and all-wheel drive, capable of sending it to 155 miles per hour after completing the 0 to 60 dash in 3.5 seconds. On the other hand, it's a 4-door, 4-seat saloon with all the pleasantries of your pedestrian runabout, prepared for the school run or a trip to the shops. But we always say that there is little reason to buy a saloon when you can go for an estate body style instead. And so, to our joy a few years ago, the Bavarian marque gave us this, the M3 Touring. Getting all the flavour of the regular M3, but with a more attractive and more practical estate roofline, it was surely the perfect BMW for most driving enthusiasts. Unless you have your heart set on the manufacturer's line of CS badge models, that is. This is the 2004 BMW M3 CSL, and ever since its launch in lightweight, race-ready form, the German car maker has kept its spirit alive by prolonging its lineage in CS guise.
And now the M3 Touring also gets its moment in the carbon fibre workshop. BMW M3 CS Touring may be quite the mouthful to say 3 times over, but what won't be clumsy and cumbersome is this new car's handling. In CS form, the boxy Super Estate gets all the gubbins of a special edition souped-up racer for the road and yet retains its intended practical party trick. Yes, despite being a far rawer racer for the road, this CS model will swallow shopping, luggage and even flat-pack furniture with ease. In fact, with the rear seats folded away, your boot will grow from 500 litres to over 1,500. But really, it's not the car's boot space and fuel efficiency on the school run that interests you, is it? You want to know how quickly you can get from here to no longer here. Well, from the standard M3 Touring, the CS gets a 20 brake horsepower boost to 550 thanks to tweaks to the engine's control unit and a marginal turbo pressure increase. That, along with the addition of lightweight carbon fibre reinforced plastics, mean the Touring in CS form will top out at 186. That's 31 miles per hour faster than the standard car. Though despite its lighter construction, the CS does not shave any time from its 0 to 60 record, still resting at 3.5 seconds. The CS is not all about an engine tune and fancy carbon bits and bobs, however, as the chassis also gets a bit of a touch-up. Stiffer and greater levels of onboard suspension tuning mean the track should handle tracks far better, but it does worry us for its on-road ride. Certainly a special car, the BMW M3 CS Touring will only be produced in limited numbers, so if you want to get your hands on one, you'd better be quick. It hits shelves from over £120,000, with UK deliveries kicking off soon. But if you can't get your hands on a special CS, there's no need to worry, as available for £30,000 less than its top variant, the standard M3 Touring Sun Stiff Ride sounds like the better all-round car to us.
Next time on Auto Mundial, we return to Monte Carlo for a parade of only the most fabulous of classic rally cars.